Maggie Nolan sat on the plane, heart pounding with the rhythm of anticipation and trepidation. She had sold her Portland home, packed away decades of memories into 2 suitcases, and was about to meet the man who had reignited her spirit, Daniel Carter. For 4 years, Maggie's lonely nights had been filled with whispered conversations and warmth shared across the digital void. Daniel, with his silver hair and gentle voice, had become her confidant, her beacon in the night. He loved music as much as she did, understood her loss, and her dreams of a future in Florida seemed just steps away from reality. Settling back, Maggie pressed her hand against the tiny palm tattoo on her wrist, a symbol of hope, a promise. But beneath the surface of excitement lay the undercurrent of doubt that accompanied the whispers of deepfakes and scams. Friends spoke of such things with caution, urging Maggie to remain careful. But Maggie's heart had already invested in dreams, visions of sunlit beaches and morning coffees shared with Daniel, a man whose face she had come to know as dearly as her own. Their FaceTime calls, filled with laughter and comfort, seemed so real, so genuine. Daniel sent videos from construction sites, vulgar displays of authenticity, evidence she wanted to believe was as tangible as her own heartbeat. As the wheels touched down in Miami, Maggie found herself swept by a wave of emotion, crashing against memories and possibilities. Would Daniel be standing there, amidst the bustling crowd, waiting to wrap her in a welcoming embrace? But fate is often cruel in its revelations. Margaret Nolan, once a woman of careful steps, had ventured too far into the realms of fantasy constructed by unscrupulous minds operating from distant Lagos, Nigeria. An elaborate scam built on deepfakes and deception shattered as she realized Daniel Carter was a facade, a virtuoso of enigma, a man who never was. Her time in Miami would be brief, an echo of what might have been. As Maggie roamed the unfamiliar city, she found herself reflecting on the journey, where love, longing, and illusions had intertwined. Returning to Portland seemed like surrender, yet peace resides in acceptance. Maggie boarded the flight back with a heart forged anew. Despite the sorrow, strength had emerged from the ashes of deception, and with it, an understanding that the real journey is always inward, towards self-discovery. As the plane soared skyward, the palm tree on her wrist gleamed like a promise of resilience, because though she met the man who never was, Maggie reclaimed the woman she always is. Maggie steps off the plane at Miami International Airport, her heart racing with anticipation for what lies ahead. She clutches her purse tightly, eager to experience the warmth of love offered by Daniel. But hours pass by at the arrival's gate, and no sign of him greets her. As the uneasiness grows into worry, Maggie tries to call him, only to find the number disconnected. Panic seeps through her veins as she checks her messages, now marked undelivered. Desperation drives her to the address he had given, a location supposed to be filled with dreams and promises. Yet, in the face of reality, it is but a barren parking lot. Her knees tremble, unable to bear the weight of endless hope crashing to the ground with bitter realization. Still, a part of her refuses to succumb to the truth, until Rosa Delgado enters the scene with quiet determination. "You too?" Rosa inquires softly, her hands extending a folder towards Maggie. The folder contains more than photos. It holds Maggie's shattered trust and dreams. Within it lies the portrait of an illusion, Daniel Carter, nothing more than a deep fake composite. His voice, the sweet serenades she believed in, were crafted by artificial intelligence. The charming videos, confessions of love, were all fabricated by digital manipulation. Rosa shares the reality of an elaborate romance scam tied to a sprawling international syndicate. Over 300 victims have been ensnared by promises whispered and woven into their hearts. Maggie listens in a daze as Rosa talks about the audacity of deception, about fragments of real feelings lost in the virtual world. Now, Maggie faces the deepest betrayal of all, a love that was fueled by lies and technical prowess, leaving behind a void. How does one mend what was never truly whole? As the vibrant Miami sun sets, Maggie is left to navigate the shadows of betrayal, guided by Rosa's heartfelt support and understanding. But ultimately, she must find a way to heal, armed with the knowledge that love built on deceit is not a love worth keeping in her heart. The night was heavy with the burden of truth. Maggie sat in the dim light of her cramped apartment, her face a canvas of determination and despair. Her life had been turned upside down, her heart and trust stolen by a faceless demon behind the screen. But Maggie wasn't going to let it end there. Rosa, her closest ally and the survivor of a similar nightmare, sat beside her, their fingers flying over the keyboard, fueled by anger and the desire for justice. They had become part of a clandestine network, a group of once victims who decided not to wallow in misery but rise as warriors. The network swarmed the depths of the dark web, a labyrinth of deceit and malicious intent. They followed digital breadcrumbs, decrypting crypto payments that funded the manipulative machinery, peeling back layers of lies spun through AI-generated content. The facade began to crumble. Each discovery deepened the chasm they had plunged into. They stumbled upon a grim operation in Lagos, a love farm, where scammers were trained like soldiers, mastering the sinister art of voice cloning with unparalleled precision. It was a factory of emotions, where real women were employed to act in videos, fraudulently mimicking familial bonds with the scam's targets, a mother's caring eyes, a sister's reassuring smile. It was then that they hit upon something insidious, yet profoundly systematic: compositions of love, AI-generated poetry, and conversation scripts seamlessly woven from real-life interactions, strings of words designed to manipulate and ensnare. As the net of their investigation tightened, Maggie's journey propelled her back to Miami. Her path was lit by desperation and the undying fire of retribution. She honed in on a local tech contractor, innocently unaware that his innovations had become the heartbeat of deceit. Maggie stands in front of a crowd at a tech ethics conference in San Francisco. She's no longer the broken woman who once waited in an airport with flowers in hand, heart heavy with the ache of unfulfilled promises and unmet faces. Her hands, once trembling with hope and despair, now rest firmly on the podium. She's leading a nonprofit called Human Heartbeat, an initiative dedicated to teaching people how to identify digital deception, how to discern the faint flickering lines that separate genuine emotions from engineered ones. The room is bathed in soft light, and eyes from all corners are focused on her, drawn by the gravity of her mission and the depth of her empathy. Maggie's journey from heartbreak to healing has not just transformed her, but it's also empowered her to transform others. In her voice, there is an urgent wisdom. We are at the threshold of a new era, an age where machines not only mimic but manipulate emotions, she says. Every word is carefully chosen, carving the silence with its precision. If we do not learn how to tell shadows from substance, we risk not only deception but the distortion of what love truly means. Her question, posed with a compassionate intensity, hangs in the air. If a machine can make us feel loved, does that make the love real, or just the loneliness more cruel? Silence settles over the audience, a profound pause that invites reflection over reaction. As the lights dim, the enormous screen behind her comes to life. A rotating 3D face emerges, familiar to some, poignant to others: Daniel's face. It's a symbol, both a memory and a manifestation of the technology she warns about. As it glitches, breaking into a matrix of jagged pixels before disappearing entirely, the room gasps softly, resonating with a sound of introspection. Maggie steps down from the stage, knowing that her message, like the echo of Daniel's vanishing face, will linger long after the conference is over.